Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on my YouTube channel. I am Jenn Pike, medical exercise specialist and functional medicine diagnostic nutritionist. I specialize in women's health and hormones. And I got a lot of comments and a lot of feedback from a video that I recently did all about the different changes that happen in our body in relation to our cycle and perimenopause and menopause, and some of the things we need to be thinking about in regards to our approach to exercise and to strength training. So I am here for a part 2 on this. And I'm going to share my 5 key tips for optimizing your workouts during this stage of your life. Now, before we get into the video, I want you to click subscribe here so you don't miss any of these videos, because there are so many more that are coming in the future. And then the second thing is click on this link down here below so that you can learn about the different programs and options that we have in the company if you are looking to elevate your education. I would be your teacher, or you are looking to come inside of a group and a community where this is what we do. The things that I'm teaching you about exercise and movement and nourishment and how to support your body in your 40s and your 50s and beyond, this is literally what we do. So click down here and you can learn more. All right, let's get to my top 5 today in this episode. So these are 5 key tips to optimizing your workouts during this stage of your life. Number 1, prioritize strength training, okay? You have to live under a rock right now to not be hearing 2 things as a woman: strength train and eat protein. But can we get a little bit more specific about the strength training piece of this? So you want to focus on building muscle and maintaining muscle. Now, if you're a woman that's been working out for a long time and you already did that leg work, you built the muscle, and let's say a season of life happened and you feel like you lost the muscle, it's going to come back a lot quicker than you realize because you had already laid the foundation. For those of you who maybe haven't been working out and haven't been building muscle, you have newbie gains that you can benefit from. So everyone's going to be a winner here in terms of doing strength training. Now, how many times a week? It would be awesome if you could start to do strength training 2 to 3 times a week. In the beginning for women, what I say is if you can do a full body workout 2 to 3 times a week, meaning you are hitting an exercise for shoulders, for back, for your arms, a couple for the lower body, because we've just got more to work with there in terms of our glutes and our hamstrings and our quads. And you had a full body workout series that you could repeat, say a Monday, Wednesday, and a Saturday every single week, and did that over 6 weeks, and then you could change it up. That would be an awesome way to begin. Now, if you're a more seasoned worker outer, if you're a more seasoned athlete, then you could change the dynamics of this. And maybe if you've been doing like a very traditional split body workout, meaning like Monday you train chest and triceps, and Tuesday you train legs, and Wednesday you train back and biceps, and Thursdays maybe it's off, and then on Fridays your glutes and your shoulders, and that's what you've been doing for a really long time. Number 1, this is the opportunity to realize that you don't have to be lifting weights 5 and 6 days a week. If you love it and you're noticing you have great results and awesome recovery, then go for it. But the reality is for us around this stage of life, 4, max 5 times a week is beauty. And then it's going to leave the space for you to add in things that are going to help support your mobility. They're going to help to support your mindset, your emotions, and regulate so many of the other things that are going on in our bodies at this time of our life. So I want you to think in terms of strength training. That range is going to be 2 to 3 times a week if you're starting out or you live a busy lifestyle. The other option is going to be 4 or 5 times a week max for your lifting. Now, what you do in those, here's a question you have to ask yourself. What are you focusing on? I'll give you an example. I'm 45. This year, I want to focus on my shoulders and my arms, and I'm always working in through my glutes, not just because I like having a good bum, but because I understand the importance of having strong glutes. Posturally, I understand this. I understand the more muscle we have in through our legs, this is going to help to prevent injury. If we, God forbid, ever fall and break a hip or injure ourselves or our knees, whatever it may be, the more muscle that you have on your body, the less risk you have at the injuries and the better your outcome of recovery is. So for me, I'm focusing on training my shoulders and my arms twice a week, and I'm focusing on my lower body twice a week. So I'm lifting 4 days a week right now. What does that look like in terms of Monday through Sunday? So I am training my shoulders and my arms on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm training my lower body on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. I also teach inside my online studio 3 days a week. And that's typically a class called The Body, which is a fusion of Pilates and barre and yoga. It's full body based. I would say a little bit more for lower body because everybody loves training that. And then I'm teaching yoga once a week. And then I have kind of a day that's up in the air where I could be teaching a full body conditioning class. I could be teaching more Pilates or more yoga. And that really is just a filler in there. But for me, I am dialed in on the 4 days a week of lifting. I walk 7 days a week, rain or shine. I aim somewhere between around 10,000 steps, I would say, in the cooler months of the year. And in the summer, my steps, I mean, I don't even need to keep track because I move a lot in the summer and I love being outside. So, and yoga for me is really important. So that's why I make sure I get it in at least once a week. The reality is even being here in the office, I do a little bit of yoga every single day, even if it's for a few minutes or if it's for 10 minutes, just moving my body, getting some of that energetic change to happen, working in through my shoulders and my hips, the areas for us as women that as we start to lose estrogen, specifically estradiol, more shoulder joint issues, more hip and low back issues. So I really prioritize the movement there. The other thing is when you're thinking about your strength training is that you're going to prioritize more of those compound lifts. So when I'm training my lower body, I'm not doing a whole bunch of leg lifts and all of that kind of stuff. I'm doing some type of a squat. So it could be goblet squat. It could be a back squat. It could be Smith machine squat. It could be a sumo squat. I am doing some form of a deadlift. So usually it's Romanian deadlifts, RDLs, but it could be a split stance. It could be single leg on the Smith machine. It could be barbell. It could be kettlebell. I'm varying it up. I'm always doing some form of a hip thrust. So I'm either doing a barbell hip thrust, a heavy dumbbell banded hip thrust, or I'm under a Smith machine doing a hip thrust. And then I add in accessory movement. So some days I maybe want to target my quads a little bit more, and I'll add in leg extensions on a machine. Or I'm bringing in something like Bulgarian split squats. Everyone loves to hate these. They are a very challenging workout, but they are so targeted. They are the chef's kiss when we're talking about training the lower body. And then rounding it out with like a little bit of booty stuff. So some cable kickbacks, some banded kickbacks, those kinds of things. But I start with the more challenging exercises first. I taught about this in my last video where I have to think so much about that neuromuscular facilitation. I got to take my brain and I have to put it in the muscles and put it in my joints and be like, this is how you do the thing. It's very technical. The lighter weight stuff, the banded stuff, the abduction, those kind of things, that's not very technical. You can manage that when you're already in a fatigue state, not the other way around. My second tip for you is include low impact, high intensity workouts. Now, what does this mean? High intensity is, we're thinking like high intensity interval training. It doesn't have to always be explosive and impact. Jumping and bouncing on our bodies as women is very good for our joint health, for building muscle, and it is important. But you don't have to do a workout where it's jumping lunges, jumping squats. Everything is like, you're doing depth jumps and those kinds of things. It doesn't have to be that. You can skip and place side to side. You could do 5 jump squats, but then you could do some type of other workout. You could be on the treadmill. You could be doing an elliptical. You could be outside and you could walk and then, jog for 30 seconds. You could walk and then run high knees for 30 seconds. And so there's all different ways that you can do this. You have to listen to your body. So I don't love high intensity anything at this point in my life. I used to be a runner. I used to do triathlons. I used to teach classes that were called Survivor, and I was teaching tons of them. I am not kidding you. There was a point in my life when I owned my studio, I was teaching 20 classes a week. I don't recommend that for everyone. I don't even recommend you teaching 12 classes a week. I feel like maybe 5 or 6 would be the maximum that you would do as an instructor, but really understanding how you can do low impact, high intensity. So it doesn't always have to be jumping. Can you get the heart rate up? How can you mix it up? Can you add in things like rowing? Can you add in cycling? Can you add in something where you're not constantly pounding on your joints and on your body? The other thing that I'm going to say about this is it's tip number 3, actually, and it's very important, is you have to support your hormonal health through your recovery. When you're in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and beyond, you do not have the backup team and support of robust estrogen and progesterone and an intense amount of testosterone and healthy DHEA production from your adrenals. Your cortisol is probably dysregulated at this point, so your adrenal health is not as intact as it once was. Thyroid health probably needs some support. And then we have our blood sugar, right? We've got how we manage our insulin and our glucose, and our sleep probably isn't as good. So you have to think about what are the things that you do have control over in supporting and optimizing your recovery, okay? And this is critical. It is actually, I think, the most important yet underrated ingredient in proper program design, in proper nutrition design, lifestyle design is, can you please show me in your program, in your calendar, where do you recover? Where is that time for your body to go and do the inside work? So I shared this in terms of my weekly load. 4 days a week, I am doing, 40 to 60 minutes of intense workout. The other 3 days a week, I am doing things that are high level nourishment. I'm stretching, I'm doing mobility, I'm using my yoga tune up balls, I'm doing fascial work, foam rolling, I'm, unrolling my mat and either embracing yoga or bar or Pilates, and I'm doing those walks. I'm getting to bed. I am getting to bed. Sleep is the thing that you can't, like, I can't create a sleep program for you. That is going to make you sleep. You have to start to actually train your sleep habits. So, just like you're going and you're training your biceps and you do rep over rep to get stronger, you have to train your sleep habits. So you have to get yourself upstairs or wherever your bedroom is a little bit earlier. You have to have an evening routine that really calms you down, right? No bright lights, no overstimulating noises. You're not drinking alcohol or having coffee or sugar in the evening. And we know this logically. These are all stimulants. Why would we put stimulants in our body and then expect that we're going to have a good night's sleep? Right? And all those stimulants coming in, which destabilize your blood sugar and create more havoc for your adrenals and cortisol, you will wake up with hot flashes. You will wake up between 1 and 4 in the morning and not be able to get back to sleep. You will wake up with cramps in your calves and in your feet and restless leg because the more stimulants and the higher processed diet or lifestyle you're living, the less mineral support, magnesium being one of them, you're going to have, the more dehydrated your probably is, or body is rather. So if you want to have good sleep at night, you've got to really dial in these habits during the day. And you don't have to be perfect. This is like, can you just change one thing you're doing right now? And notice time over time. I was sharing in a class I was teaching this morning. If you simply got yourself into your room 10 minutes earlier, that was the only change you made right now for your recovery. 10 minutes sounds like no big deal. But at the end of the month, you have invested 300 additional minutes into your own recovery. Think about that over the course of a year, a couple of years, over the course of a decade and a lifetime, right? We're so hyper focused right now on having all the biohacking kits and all the gear and all the things. And listen, I own some of them and I love them, but I do not hang my hat on those as making the changes in my body or supporting my menopause journey. I focus on the major things that everybody thinks are the minor things. I focus on hydration. I focus on nutrition. I move my body and I get my butt to sleep. Okay, so it's a really important one. Number 4, ladies, this is really key. Focus on core and pelvic floor health and strength. And this is not crunches. We've been taught create the burn, feel the lactic acid, and then you're building abs. Number 1, if you really want to see visible abs, you've got to reduce body fat, and that's going to happen through your nutrition and your overall lifestyle and your sleep and your movement. Number 2, when I'm talking about strengthening your pelvic floor muscles and your deep core muscles, this is things like, yes, Kegels, but you have to know how to do them properly. It's also understanding, do you have tight muscles or do you have weak muscles? We think if we have urination, breakthrough peeing that's happening when we cough or sneeze or we jump, oh, everything's loose down there. Not always. If you are very tight, right? Like you hold yourself very tight. You're sucking in all of the time. You're very anxious. You actually may need to relax and stretch those pelvic floor muscles because the tightness could also contribute to some of that leakage that you're having. Now, other things like bridging, planking, learning how to do a vacuum, learning how to do bear hover and hold, starting to bring programs and women and people into your life who are teaching you all these different techniques so that you can improve your posture, you can improve your stability, your balance, and your coordination, also your bladder control, and reduce back pain. So if you don't have someone in your life who is teaching you these things, this would be a great thing to look into. Go work with a pelvic floor physiotherapist. You're on YouTube right now. Do you know how many videos there are and different platforms and ways that can help you do this? I have an online movement studio called Synced, and we have a whole series that teaches you about this. So again, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. And then also send us an email, hello@jennpike.com, so that you can get connected with what we do. Number 5 is you have to stay flexible with your routine. Energy levels and different symptoms that you're going to have at this time of your life, they're going to feel like they take over and you're going to feel frustrated and say to yourself, I failed the program. I had this program. I was supposed to follow it for 4 months, for 6 months, and I had to miss, a week because I wasn't feeling good. I had to miss a couple weeks because something happened in life. And then you're going to go, screw it. And you're going to say to yourself, that program didn't work. I didn't work. I don't have, self-control. I can't stay accountable. And it's like, no, your life is lifing right now. And that's going to happen. So you have to create flexibility and a lot of grace for yourself. Adjust the intensity of your workout. Adjust the duration. You can't work out for 40 minutes? Cool. Can you do something for 4 minutes? You can't get outside for the walk today. Can you move around your house more? Maybe you need legs up the wall today and not legs under a barbell, right? Like really just start to think about it is not all or nothing. Especially when you're over the age of 40 years old, this is the best time of your life. This is the most empowering time. This is where your body is saying to you, like, I'm ready. I am ready and I'm going to require something different, but like, I am here for it. So start to do some of the things that I've talked about. And this final piece here of being able to change your mindset. This is a reframe of how you think about what you're doing. It's not always going to be able to be measured by the intensity and the load and what the mirror shows you and how many minutes you clocked. It's going to be measured by, did I show up and do something for myself today? So have the flexibility and create the space to have the mental reframe so that you can listen to your body. Some days are going to call for something gentle. Other days are going to feel like a more challenging workout. Learn how to ebb and flow, ladies. This is what our bodies are designed to do. We've just been plugged into a very masculinized society that is like, no, these are the rules. This is the plan. And you just stick to it. Sleep later, right? Don't give up. I call bullshit. You're not giving up when you listen to your body. And if you keep having that attitude and that energy, you're always going to feel like you're on the search for something new and you're always going to feel like nothing works. And maybe it's just the approach you're taking. Okay. So I hope you loved that one today. I tried to keep it simple and in sync. See what I did there? So again, make sure you subscribe. Don't miss any of the episodes. Head over to Instagram as well. Join me at Jenn Pike. It is Jenn with 2 N's. And I will see you back here next time.